It's that time of year again, and I'm showing my friend Hope why they call me the repurposing queen. We're taking mashed potatoes and turning them into fried potato cakes with a Latin twist. I'm serving that up with a spicy, creamy tomato sauce. Then we're turning corn pudding into an elote soup with all the toppings. And last but not least, a pumpkin flan, so why don't you pull up a chair and dine with us. Back, everybody. Yes, we're not in the sartorial kitchen. We're in my friend Hope's kitchen. It is Thanksgiving leftovers time, and I've brought the leftovers. We are starting with mashed potatoes. This is several servings, but we're making fried potato cakes. I need as many servings as I can get. So I'm starting with the mashed potatoes. These already have the butter and the milk and the salt and pepper, but we're going to jazz them up a little bit. I was inspired to do a Tex-Mex theme this time around, so that's exactly what we're doing. And I've got all my fun little ingredients here to really make these potatoes zing. So I'm going to start here with 2 eggs. That's just going to help bind everything together, and it's going to add some nice richness. And I'm just really careful to make sure I don't get any eggshells. We don't want eggshells in our potato cakes. And then some seasonings. So I'm going to bring in some more salt and some more pepper. Potatoes are naturally bland, so they need all the help they can get. And some pepper. And I've also got some garlic powder. I'm probably going to add about a tablespoon each of the garlic powder and the onion powder. And to take these to a little more Mexican place, some cumin. Beautiful. And then we're just going to come in here and stir these up. The eggs and all the seasonings. Now these are a little gloopy, a little runny, because we are not done with them yet. I've also got some flour here. And we're probably, I'm going to start out close to about a cup or so, but I'm gonna just kind of be sparingly at first and add just maybe about a cup, and then we can add some more if we need to. I'm just looking for that kind of consistency, and I'm just kind of folding this in. I don't want to over mix it because then it gets really tough. You overwork the gluten in that flour. And I do think we're going to need a little more here. Alright, these look pretty good, so I'm going to set them aside. And I will start working on the veggies and the broth for my soup. Alright, so I set the potatoes aside. I've already got some chicken broth going. That's going to be for the soup. I'm going to use it to kind of puree everything. Then I'm chopping up some veggies. Some of this is going to be aromatics for the soup broth. Some of it is going to be for a sauce I'm making to go on the potatoes. So I'm starting with an onion here. Half this onion is going to go in my soup broth. I just want to peel off the skin. And this one I'm just going to leave whole. And just plop it right in. And then the other half I'm going to dice up for our tomato sauce. Okay, I think that's good for the onions. Go ahead and slide those in. Oh yeah, listen to that sizzle. That is one of my favorite sounds in the kitchen. And then we're going to go ahead and start seasoning here some salt. That's going to help draw the moisture out of these onions and let them cook down sooner. And a little pepper. And just give them a nice little stir, get them coated in that oil. I want them to be nice and translucent. Then I've also got a nice bell pepper here. So bell peppers are pretty simple. I just come in here to the top, and that comes right off. And then I just come down here, slide off the sides. The innard with all the seeds we don't want, so that goes goodbye. And then these, I just lay them sideways. We get strips. And then you come in this way and dice. Get nice little dices. And that's going to go straight in with the onions. Okay, that is our bell pepper. Now we're getting dangerous here. I've got some habaneros. It's a really spicy pepper. You can totally omit these if you want. I wanted a little heat, and I didn't want to mess with like green peppers because this is a red sauce. I wanted a nice red pepper. Habaneros are up there on the spice Richter scale, so I'm just very careful here. Just like with the bell pepper, we're taking the seeds. The seeds and the membrane, that's really where all the heat is. I just kind of take my knife along the inside and just kind of score it, and everything comes out. And then similar to the bell pepper, although this time I'm almost kind of mincing this. Because I don't want anybody biting into like a big piece of pepper. And these are really hot, so I think half is going to be just fine. And I'm really, like, as thinly as I can dice these. And this half is going in our stock. Alright, and that is the last of our pepper. Give this another stir. I'm just going to let that cook down a little bit, and then we'll have some other things to add to it. Okay, so one last thing here, some cilantro. Now don't be confused, because this looks like parsley, but it is not. Some people find this ingredient to be a little on the soapy side, so I'm very sparing with it for anybody who is sensitive to that. So some of this, I'm going to leave whole in the sprig, although I am going to chop off the ends here. And they are going in with our aromatics. I will be taking those out, of course, before I puree everything up. And yeah, we just take off the ends. They're not terribly edible. And then I'm just going to kind of with my knife, just kind of shred this into little pieces. I'm going to use it as a garnish for anybody that wants it. It'll add some nice color. And I think that is it for our mise en place. Alright guys, you can see our peppers and onion have sweated down nicely, nice and tender and translucent. Now I can add my garlic. I always wait till last to add my garlic, especially when it's minced, because it cooks so quick. And I want some of that garlic oil too. And we'll just stir that in. Literally just going to let that cook about a minute, because I don't want it to burn. Alright guys, I moved my sauce over here so I had room to work on my potatoes. We're going to start frying these up. So I've got my ice cream scoop here. I'm using this so I can kind of have a little quality control and see that these all come out the same size. And I think I can fit about 4 in this skillet, hopefully. And I just love the sound of when you're frying things up in the skillet like that. I'm going to turn it up just a little till we get it going, and then we can turn it back down. So it's going to cook a few minutes on each side, just until we get nice and golden brown. And then I've got my pan lined up here so we can drain the grease. Alright guys, time to flip these babies over. Ooh, nice and golden brown, look at that. Beautiful. Carefully so we don't splatter grease everywhere. And then these will cook a couple more minutes on this side and they will be ready to come out. Beautiful. Alright guys, look at this delicious broth. The onions, the peppers, the cilantro. There's also some limes in here. I cut some up as a garnish for the soup, so I threw one in here. I'm just going to throw this in slowly. So I'm using a strainer here. This bowl's going to catch all of our broth, and then the strainer's going to catch all of our aromatics, so we don't have the aromatics in the broth. And then I can use the broth to puree what is left of my cornbread, and it's going to be nice, smooth, velvety, kind of like a corn chowder. What's going to make it an elote is all the lavish toppings that I have for people to garnish with. And then this is going to go back on the stove. We're going to use it to puree everything. I just want to make sure we get all of our aromatics out. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm picking apart this cornbread that I have left over. It's like a spoon bread. It's soft. It's got corn in it, so it's going to be really nice for this. I think that's good for now. And then we'll take my ladle and we will ladle some of this broth in here. And then we're going to use the broth to puree our cornbread. It's going to be nice and smooth and velvety. I'm going to start with about half for now. And then I've got my immersion blender here. This thing is a godsend. It is great for pureeing things. Anything that you want smooth that the food processor just can't quite handle. And just come down in here and just kind of come down and break it all up. It becomes kind of like mush at first, and then just keep going until you get a nice smooth texture. Alright guys, nice and smooth and velvety. I'm going to put this back on the stove, just on a low heat so everything comes to temp. And I've got some crema to add to that. This is going to make it nice and velvety and luscious. And we can finish up our potato cakes. Oh, look at these guys, nice and golden brown. Listen to that crunch. So I've got my pan here. And that's just so I can drain the grease. We don't want greasy cakes. Those are going to be so good. And then I can add some more here. And our oil is good and hot, so these shouldn't take as long. Again, I think we're just going to get 4 here. And there we are. Looking good. I do want to salt these just a little. I always salt things when they come out of the fryer. And we are shaping up. Alright, so I got some crema here. Normally when I do soups like this, I like to finish them off with some heavy cream or something like that. But we're doing Tex-Mex, so I thought some crema would be fun. And add a nice little zing. So I'm going to drizzle some in here. About a 1/4 cup or so. And then we'll just stir that in. This is going to be nice and creamy. Oh guys, this looks so good. Almost like polenta. Just gorgeous. Okay, and then the rest of this crema, well not all of it, is going to go into this sauce. So I want to tame the tomato a little bit, and the pepper. I'm going to stir that in. So it's going to make like a sort of creamy tomato sauce. Oh, doesn't that look good? I'm not worried about it. And I'm just going to come in again here with my blender. And I'll go ahead and turn this to like a simmer. And I'm just going to kind of just lightly puree this. I still want it to have a little texture to it. I just kind of want to break up some of those veggies a little bit. I think that's good. Let's just come here. Oh, gorgeous. That looks so good. Now we need to give it a taste. I just want to see that everything is where I want it. Ooh, I like that. Still got a little texture, nice thing. Okay guys, so I've got my table set up here. I got the soup. I have all my garnishes here, some cotija, some tagine. So elote usually is like the whole corn, and they'll roll it in all these things, and they'll give you lime on the side. So I thought it would be fun to have those as garnishes. So it's still kind of the same kind of thing in this soup. Look at that, it's just gorgeous, velvety. I am super excited for this soup. And the potato cakes. And just a little bit of our sauce. And I think we are ready to dig in. Alright guys, let's dig into this. I'm going to start with the potatoes, I think. And listen to that. You can hear that crunch from frying those, so good. Ooh, I like that. They're nice and crispy, but the inside is still like soft and creamy. The sauce, it's got a little kick, but the crema kind of mellows everything out, so it's not like crazy spicy. Now the soup. My mouth has been watering over this soup like this entire time. So we've got the lime here. I'm just going to give it a little squeeze. Ooh, that's so good. It's nice and soft and creamy. The garnishes really make it. It just gives it a lot of interesting flavor. A little bit of acidity, a little bit of saltiness, sweetness from the cornbread. Oh, that's so good. Okay, we're gonna finish up here, and then we're gonna pull out my flan. Alright guys, time for the flan. But before I unmold this, I want to show you guys how I put it together. Alright guys, we are going to make the caramel for my pumpkin flan. So we're going to start with 3/4 cup sugar. Just level it off. And it's going to go right into my saucepan. To that, I also need 3/4 cup maple syrup. Good maple syrup, not that high fructose corn syrup stuff. And this is hickory smoked syrup. It was part of that package from Hanson's Harvest, where I also got the olive oil and the white balsamic from. So good. And then I also need a 1/3 cup of water. And just a splash of vanilla. Beautiful. Then I just kind of pick the pan up, swirl it around a little bit, just to make sure that sugar isn't sticking to the bottom. And it's going to cook on a medium to a low heat, just until everything kind of dissolves and comes together. And while that happens, we'll mix up the filling. So for the flan mixture, we're starting with 1 can of evaporated milk, 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. And this is just a really simple flan recipe, guys. Flan is one of my favorite desserts. Everybody thinks it's so daunting, but it's really simple to make. Just really good ingredients. So we have our evaporated milk, and we have our sweetened condensed milk. Then, since this is Thanksgiving leftovers, I have procured the filling from about 3 slices of pumpkin pie. And what I love about this, it has all your pie spices in it already, so you don't have to do any seasoning, which makes it even more easier. And I'm just going to go ahead and give this a little bit of a whisk, just until that's all incorporated nicely. And then some more of our vanilla extract, of course. A touch more of our maple. So I want this to have lots of flavor. For some richness and a little bit of tang, a couple tablespoons of sour cream. And 4 eggs. And I'm just going to gently crack them one at a time so I can watch for eggshells. We do not want eggshells in our flan. And continue whisking until everything is well combined. Okay, our caramel has come to a nice rolling boil, so I'm going to take it off the heat and let it sit for a couple minutes before we pour it into our shell. And then I'm going to finish beating up our ingredients here. So the eggs is what makes it set like a custard. So a custard, if you've never had it, it's almost like a pudding, but it's firm, like a cake. And it's just really, just has a nice, soft, luscious texture, kind of melts in your mouth. So, so good. And it's going to be even more decadent with the caramel. Alright, I would say that's pretty good. So our next step here, I'm going to pour the sugar out into my basin. And right now it's just like a sweet little honey syrup. Oh, that's going to be so good. Then I'm going to put this in the fridge real quick for about 20 to 30 minutes just to let it set. One final ingredient to really jazz everything up a bit, some orange. I'm using the zest. I'm going to juice the orange too in one of my other dishes, but I thought the zest would be really perfect in this. The citrus is just going to brighten everything up and really accentuate all those lovely fall flavors. I'm just gently going on the outside here, trying to not get down into the pith. And I think that looks pretty good. And then of course we always check the back for stragglers. That's probably about a teaspoon or so, which is perfect. And it's so aromatic, you can smell it beautifully. And once our caramel has finished setting, we can pour in our custard. As you can see, our caramel has set. Now I have this inside a roasting pan because we're going to be doing a water bath, which I don't think is something I've shown you guys yet before. But basically it's when you have water on the outside of your baking dish. And what that accomplishes is it kind of creates steam, and it'll keep the sides and the top of anything you're baking in the oven from overcooking. So everything kind of cooks evenly, stays at a lower temperature, and then you get a nice even consistency all around. And now I'm just going to fill this about halfway up. We don't need too much water, just enough to cover the sides. And I'm going to gently pour this in so I don't get any into the custard. Otherwise, we will have a very watery flan. No good. So we're just going to be very careful here. Just pour it in nice and slow. And that's going to be just about halfway up. That's perfect. This is going to go into the oven. I'm going to be very gentle as I put this in here. I have already set it to 350 degrees. This is going to cook for about 75 minutes until I can stick a knife in it and it comes out clean. And I'll just go ahead and set that timer and I will see you guys then. Alright everybody, time to take this baby out. Beautiful. Nice and firm, but it still has a little jiggle to it. And I'm just going to set it on top of this little cooling rack, just to let it cool evenly, about 20 to 30 minutes, and then we'll cover it and stick it in my fridge to let it finish setting up. And I will take it back out when I'm ready to hit the road. See you guys back in the First, I'm going to take my little
knife
serving spatula here, and I'm just going to come around the edges. Just to pull everything away from the sides. And then we should be able to take our plate here and turn this baby over. Nice. That pops right out. And then we'll pull, I just used my springform pan here. So I could pull this apart and then pull this off. Oh, gorgeous, look at that. Nice beautiful flan, and then there's that caramel on top. Now we will dish it up. Like that, you think?
Here we go.
Nice. Alright, moment of truth. Oh guys, this is so good. Nice and creamy. I get all those warm pumpkin spices. Just a little hint of that orange dash. So creamy and decadent. Well, we're going to finish up here. I thank you guys, as always, for joining me in the kitchen. Like and subscribe, hit me up in the comment section, and until next time.